Hey guys, let me know what you think by liking and commenting, and it really helps me and this channel out when you subscribe, so please click that button. Thanks a bunch. Alright everyone, today's episode is brought to you by Super Smooth Hobby Lubricants. Super Smooth Hobby Lubricants are 100% synthetic, and they come in medium oil versions, light oil, and PTFE or Teflon grease in this handy tube. These are very recent and modern formulations. The company that actually manufactures the oil and grease for Super Smooth is a very, very well-known company, and Super Smooth worked with their chemists to make sure that these would fulfill the needs of modern hobbyists. These formulas are specifically designed not to gum up, and they're designed also not to attract any kind of grease or dirt or dust. So remember Super Smooth. It's slicker than smooth. Howdy everybody. Today I am going to be converting this 1970s, I think it's from the 1970s, Con-Cor PA-1. So there are a lot of companies that made PA-1s, I think. Athearn, they made a bunch of them, and Lifelike, and then what eventually became Proto did. But one thing they didn't make were these Burlington Northern PA-1s. This is what I wanted, and I know Burlington Northern didn't actually use PA-1s, but that's okay. I don't care. I want one, so this was my option. I actually have another one that's Great Northern, and that's another one that I wanted to get, so I had to go with one of these. Now, if you look, it's made in Austria. Now, it was marketed, by Con-Cor, but I believe it's made by Lilliput. Lilliput put these together, and if you look, it actually has two driven trucks. It's connected. There's a motor on one side, and the little drive shaft connects them, and the outer two wheels on each truck are driven. Let's take this apart, and you can see the section better. You can look here, the shell is literally a half shell. It doesn't have any details hanging off the bottom of it. That's going to be important later, but let's take a look here at this unique chassis motor system. In fact, it looks pretty clean in here, so it's pretty nice. And yeah, we can certainly do something with this. So this should be a pretty simple matter of just sussing out which side is which. It looks like it's going to have one side for the conductors and one side for the engineers, and we'll just have to figure that out. And they both come in through these lead blocks. You can see these little screws here. Let's just figure out which side is which. Okay, that was pretty easy peasy, so let's take a look at what we got here. It's a little bit backwards from what you're normally used to, but the black wire is actually the right or the engineer's side. The red wire is actually the left or the conductor's side. In order to install your DCC controller, you're going to need to make two cuts in the wire. It's a little bit different though. The black wire will need to be cut in the middle, and the red wire will need to be cut here so that you can cut apart this Y, and the red wire also needs to be cut in the middle. Okay, here's what we have now. And what we're going to want to do is connect this black wire to the red of the DCC controller, or the track right of the DCC controller. We're going to want to connect this red wire here to the black inbound wire, or to the left track input of the DCC controller. This black wire will be the orange or the motor positive, while this red wire will become the gray or the motor negative. I recommend you just discard this wire in the light bulb and just replace it with an LED. All right, that's it, right? Should be pretty simple, but why the heck then is this video so long? And this is the reason why, right here. Let me get this on the track. Yeah, this is a really old design, uses a lot of metal, brass gears, things like that, and because of that, it is incredibly noisy. Don't get me wrong, it's cool, and if you want to do this DCC conversion won't be any problem at all, I promise you, but it is incredibly noisy, and there's just nothing you're really going to be able to do to make that quieter. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to use this lifelike Proto chassis, which is right now dedicated to this nickel plate PA-1. Check that out. It's actually fairly old, I think, but these are a lot quieter. And this will also have much more pulling power, and it'll have a lot better low speed control because of the flywheels in there. So let's put this on the track. Told you if you're going to do a DCC conversion to any of these, then you got to make sure it works. And it doesn't work. So we gotta go figure this out now. Let's go tear this down real quick. Look at that. It's beautiful. It has this nice steel weights. It's DCC ready, but I'm actually not going to use that because I'm going to go ahead and wire this one in manually also. But take a look at it. It's got that flywheel. You can clearly see through there, but it's also got one in the back. You can kind of barely see underneath the weight. This is going to be pretty nice. Looks like the motor positive and negative are here. This red, white, and blue handle the lights, as does this yellow, I think. And then the track left and right are here, just over to the right side of this circuit board. Got to figure out why this thing isn't running. So give me a second. Okay, I can almost tell after I pulled out the voltmeter here that the issue is that it's drawing a lot of power, but it's not actually doing anything. So what that almost always means is that the motor is either seized or something in the drivetrain is seized, and we're going to have to go free it up. So I don't know if you caught it right there, but you could see the rear truck jump. And what that probably means is that the motor is running fine, but it's probably the rear one of the trucks is probably seized up. Let's try it again. Yes, and sure enough, we've got a seized truck tower or something here, so we're going to have to diagnose that. And usually what that means is there is a gear that is cracked badly enough or broken that will just make it impossible for anything to move, or what it means is that one of the bearings up top is giving us difficulty. And it's actually almost impossible to move this flywheel. So I'm thinking the motor bearing is fine as what I just said, but it's something over in the tower set. So what we're going to go to do is I'm going to go ahead and tear this apart so that I can figure out if it's any cracked gears. So let's just do that real quick. All right, if you've seen some of these Protos before, you'll see that they have a really short center gear axle set. And that's not the case with this one. It has the long gear and axle set. But let's check. There's no reason why these can't crack, although the chances are less likely because of how much more just total area and volume there is in this plastic piece. So it's not taking quite as much stress sort of on a per square millimeter basis as the other one. but there's nothing wrong with checking. So let's go ahead and do that. So far, we're 3 for 3 on these being okay. Go ahead and pull these out real quick, and you can see that the pickups are embedded into the side of these truck details here. And that one looks fine too. Let's go to the other side. So far we're doing pretty well here. I don't see anything wrong. Let's just sort of burn through the rest of these and see what we have. Okay, so we were good on all these. This shouldn't be any problem. If I sit here and spin them, I don't really feel any resistance in this entire set. These ones are spinning fine. They're a little bit dry, but not really. I think everything's going to be okay here. So, let's try some other stuff. Okay, you know what? So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to actually get in here so that I can see the tops of the towers. And I'm going to remove this circuit board anyway, so I'm just going to pull the whole thing out of there. I'm not going to use this. If you want to use this 8-pin plug-in, you're more than welcome to, but it's going to be easier for me to mount a speaker if I can just take this thing out of here. So let's do that real quick. All right, and here's the problem. I can clearly see that the tower bearing here on this worm gear is just, it's not letting the worm gear spin. It's obviously seized. There's also some crud in there. I don't know. What is that? Let's get that out of there. Okay, taking a look at the other side, there's at least no crud in there. Boy, the worm gear looks pretty dry, but there's no doubt that's what we got. The seizure, I believe, is in this rear gear, and it's just not spinning at all. So, God, what is all this garbage in there? Just, I don't know what's going on, but we'll get it all out. All right, let's grab some Super Smooth, and what I'll do is I'll grab the light oil, and that way it'll penetrate down into this set, and it'll hopefully start to loosen it up. We'll put it there, we'll put it in these bearings, put it on both sides, and we'll give it a second. We'll do it on both sides. This other one's gonna be a little more difficult because of these wires. I'm dumb, I should have removed the wires first because I'm gonna replace them with a LED anyway, so quite sure why I'm making it this difficult. There we go. Put the light oil in there, and I'll start spinning it, and what do you know? It looks like it's already starting to loosen up. It's already starting to loosen, so that's great. That's perfect. I'll put a little light oil here too, and that'll just work its way down into the gear set. And what I'll eventually do is I'll put some Super Smooth Teflon grease onto that, and that'll help. But right now we've got to get this spinning so that I think it is. It's starting to spin. So thank goodness we're going to be good to go here in just a moment. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and once again connect the motor leads directly to the track. And now I have to, since I've broken everything else up, and I've taken the sides off because I need to paint those. Okay, how about that? They're working, and I'm going to, as you can see, they're kind of speeding up as it goes, so I'm going to go ahead and let them run to work the lubricant into these. So that wasn't too tough, luckily. Everything's working good. Yeehaw! As I said, let's go ahead and just put some grease on this worm gear, and that'll help that not to seize. Now, the worm gear itself wasn't a problem. It was the bearings surrounding it, but putting this on there will help in the sense that that will work its way down into the lower gears also. So there you have it. We've got a working unit now. So let's go ahead and continue with this Con-Cor conversion. Something that I'll need to change in order to get this Con-Cor thing on here is that I've already done one of these. I'll show you that one later, but I know that this, I guess this, what is this, light refractor or whatever it is, this light pipe will need to come off. It's just not compatible. And anyway, the way the model's built, it has a headlight and a Mars or gyro light setup or whatever, and the Con-Cor only has a headlight. So this will need to come off in order to facilitate. Pop that off of there. That's it. Discard it. Use it for something else if you want. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace these incandescents with an LED. So they'll need to come out of there. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Is I'm just going to rip the light bulbs out of here because we don't need them at all. So get this, pop this, just come on out of there. That's all we need to do is just get this out of there. There we go. There we go. Okay. So since I've already taken off the sides, what we're left with here is the right and left track pickups. Those aren't actually attached to anything. I will have to reattach them to the truck side details. After I get that in place, we have our little guys here. As you can see, the wire here, this is the left side pickup is just dangling down, and I've actually removed the ones in the rear. The two wires coming up for the center are the positive for the motor. All right, now one thing I do have left over from another project is a Tsunami plug and play ALCO. So question is that a good idea for this? I actually won't need this capacitor, so I'll need to take it off. But what I found is it's actually not. And the reason why is there's really not a great place to mount this. If you look, it's too long for the body. It's just, yeah, it's not gonna fit in here, is it? If it was just a little shorter, this would work fine, but yeah, this just isn't gonna work at all. So I'm going to need another solution. And what that solution is going to be is I'm going to use just a Lock Sound 5 DCC. It's gonna fit in here quite a bit better. It's got, well, I guess it won't fit sideways, but it'll easily fit in here much better. And yeah, I think that'll work fine. I assume there is this sort of 8-wire module available from Tsunami for ALCO, but I think I don't have any of those, and I don't want to have to buy another one, so this will work just fine, and that's what we're going to do. These are off, and of course the Burlington Northern is not blue. These will have to be painted black, and I will have to reattach them. So no problem there. And what I will do is the wires were attached with a little clip to the post, but what I'm going to do is I'll probably solder them back on there. And the electrical pickup happens from the inside here, so I have to be careful not to paint those. Again, I'm not going to be using this circuit board. It's going to be easier for me to make a speaker, so I got to start measuring so that I can create a speaker and controller platform. So let's just go through that process, and I'll be back with you in a second. Okay, there's that. But now you might be asking, well, what are we going to do with this? In fact, a lot of the details, the under chassis details, are actually on this. So what are we going to have to do in order to get these transferred over? Well, what you're going to have to do is you're going to actually have to sacrifice this entire chassis. And, you know, there's really no way around it. I guess you could fabricate these yourself if you want, but I'm never going to use this chassis again, so I have no problems cutting into it and taking these things off. So that's exactly what we're going to do, and let's get to it. What's nice is that these, for the doors that are in the actual original shell, they have these little cutouts, and these will slip up in there fine, so that you can glue them to the actual body, but you're going to have to shave off a little bit more material. You can see here there's just a little bit too much, so that's what we're going to do. We're just going to shave off that excess material. I can also tell you from experience that in order for this to fit onto the chassis, you actually need to kind of carve out this material from the center of the nose piece also. So that's what I'm doing here. Just got to carve that out, and then it'll fit quite nicely. So all you need to do now is just glue this up in there, and it'll fit just perfectly. And there you go. You've got that part of the chassis transferred over. No problem at all. All right, I didn't want to drag this out too much longer, so I went ahead and put everything back together. Everything was pretty straightforward here. I have wired the decoder in, and there are the speakers. And I've replaced, like I said, there's an LED now in place of where those incandescent bulbs were. Now, the PA-1 and the PA-2, I guess, used a 16-cylinder engine, and the most that I can find, I guess the most that exists in real life, is a 12-cylinder. So I guess that'll have to do. So that's what I went through here and downloaded. It took me a little while to find the correct one that I wanted, but that's what we have. So the best we can do is 12-cylinder. It should sound close enough, I guess. If there's no 16-cylinder, then nobody's really around to know otherwise that it doesn't sound right. And what's nice is that it's a rather large sound file, so it should have pretty good fidelity at least. It was recorded from an actual working unit. You can see there by the little bar up top that it is a massive file. So there you have it. There are my two Con-Cor conversions. Now, if you want to put ladders in the front and particularly the rear stair, the rear access, all you have to do is take caboose ladders and cut them up and just put them under there. I'm just not that worried about it, so I really don't care. But if you want to finalize this look, like I said, grab the caboose ladders and just make them fit. It looks pretty good, I promise. But there you've got it. Okay, I hope this helped you out. As always, if you have any comments, please leave them. If you have any questions, leave them. I'll try to get back to them. If you like it, please click that thumbs up. And as always, I'd really appreciate it if you would go ahead and subscribe and click the notification. I promise it doesn't cost you a cent, but it actually helps me quite a bit. Now, even though I've had this PA sitting around for quite some time, there's a reason why I pulled it out of the woodwork and decided to go ahead and convert it now. So hopefully you'll be watching for that. I think you'll like it a lot. It's going to come out next week, and I think you'll really enjoy it. The Great Northern I've had done for a while, and you can see it running I think it's my longest consist. You can see it heading that consist in other videos. As always, I hope you have a great time model railroading. Hope this helped you out. And like usual, happy model railroading and take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.